Hey guys, it's Nicole. So I was just about to make my kids some granola bars, which I've been doing a lot of lately because they eat them like there's no tomorrow. And I just thought some of my friends might want to know how to do this particular recipe because it's pretty quick and easy. I usually hate it when people say a recipe is easy because they're like, oh, you can whip this easy baked Alaska up and like it only take you 6 hours and you only have to go to like 7 different grocery stores, but it's easy. This is easy, as things go. So, yeah, so I thought I would just kind of, I like to bake and cook. I also like to eat. So I thought I overcooked this. It's so dry. So I'm kind of hoping that my husband or somebody, or more likely my children, will know how to edit this video so I can cut some of this stuff out, like chewing with my mouth open. But it really is easy. I will time it for you, including running into the pantry and getting all the stuff and prepping, because, again, 30-minute meals. That's because your intern pre-chopped all your vegetables and put your trash bill out and all. So, but I mean, a legit start to finish. No cooking or baking involved. You have to just heat one thing on the stove. So, really, actually, it's pretty easy as things go. So I'm gonna just do it and we'll see how it goes. Hold on. Boop. You might notice that I am wearing a different clothes. That is because it's a different day. So after I booped the off button, things happened, and all the ingredients just sat out on the counter here, right here, for like the last 24 hours. So I would tell you that it took me about 7 minutes to get all of the ingredients and items out of, got to get everything ready. So also I made this delightful pistachio cake, which maybe that one is like, again, I'm going with easy. It was, a cake mix situation, so it's not from scratch. So we could do that another time. So I'm gonna tell you, we're just gonna run and start here. I found this recipe. I will need to credit somebody later because it was, a Pinterest find, and I make it all the time now because it really is fast and easy. And I doubled the rest of the original recipe already. Don't have something that I need. Here we go. So this is a doubled recipe, and then what I do is I split it in two so I can do two different flavors of the chips, the chocolate chips that I put into it. So I'm going to do half chocolate chips and the other half a mixture of butterscotch chips and vanilla chips, because that's what I like. So it starts with 4 cups of quick oats. I don't carefully measure these. I just kind of dump them in, 4 cups of these, and then it's going to be 2 cups of, what do they call it on the baking channels? Crispy cereals or whatever. Copyrights and all that. Actually, I don't need to worry about it because these are not Rice Krispies. They are Cedar brand. So 4 cups of the quick oats, 2 cups of Rice Krispies, crispy cereal. And then you just kind of give that a mix around. In the interest of not having a lot of dishes, I try and use all my same utensils. So I use this because I need it later. So we just kind of set that aside, and then we move on to what's going into the pot. So this is, again, I'm doubling this. You don't have to make this many. A stick of butter, and then a half a cup of honey. Oh boy, I should have done this prior to hitting play. We'll just maybe Maybe play some music in the background, cut to some B-roll, something like that. Let me take this opportunity to talk about vanilla. So I recently, I use a lot of vanilla. I buy it at Costco. It's $35, and I go through a lot of it. So I read an article about imitation vanilla, and basically they did all these tests from like a reputable source. I don't remember who it was now, but they did all these tests and basically said it is, if you're making something that you don't really need the real vanilla bean taste coming through, like a cake, for example, something like that, then imitation vanilla, they couldn't tell the difference. And it is so much cheaper. So I literally it just came from the Amazon box a couple days ago. That cake right there is the first time I've used it. I'm going to use it in these because, you know, again, it's just like for us around the family. So I'm using imitation vanilla. So I smelled it. I mean, you can tell. There's no doubt about that, but still. Okay, so that was a half a cup of honey, and then we're going to do 2/3 of a cup of brown sugar. Packed, of course. Whenever the recipe says brown sugar, they always mean packed. Again, I do not measure this like terribly accurately. And then I'm taking it to the oven, to the stove, not the oven. And over like medium-ish heat, we just melt that all together. Once it starts like simmering, then cook it for about another minute after that. And then we're gonna add, let's see, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, or fake vanilla in this case. When you do that, you need to be careful because there's alcohol in it. Once the vanilla hits the hot liquid in there, it does a nice little chemistry, like, so it might splatter. So, you know, no little children standing around at that moment. Forgot to get my 1 teaspoon. So this will take a couple of minutes. I'll edit it out so you don't have to stare at my butt while I'm stirring it, okay? Am I supposed to? So I'll be back in a minute. Okay, I'm back. That whole endeavor took about 4 minutes. Basically, again, 1 stick of butter, half a cup of honey, 2/3 cup of brown sugar. Doesn't matter if it's light or dark. I always use dark because, I mean, it's just more flavor. It's just more molasses in it. I think that's what it is, but I don't know why you wouldn't. So, and then I added the 2 teaspoons of fake vanilla in this case. So from here, it kind of moves a little bit fast. So I already have my chips kind of open and ready. I usually pre-measure them out just because I tend to put too many in, but I'd say somewhere between 1/4 cup and 1/2 cup for each sort of half of it. So I have a second bowl so that once I mix the warm ingredient in and get it all in there, then I'm going to put half of it in here. That way I can do the chips separately. I also have my pan, which you can use any pan. This is actually a slightly too large, like there'll be a gap in the middle when I pour the 2 halves in, but it doesn't really matter. It depends on how thin you want them, thin or thick you want them, or whatever, and you can push them. Think about Rice Krispie treats, how you can kind of mold them and push them. That's kind of the same thing. So I'm pouring this in right now, which is why I use, ow, it's hot. It's weird. Why I use the spatula, because I want to make sure I get all of the stuff out. So I'm just adding that to the Rice Krispie oat mixture. And then I'm going to start mixing, and then you just basically just keep going until all of your dry ingredients are wet. And make sure you keep picking up from underneath, because I'll think I'm done, and then I'll find a big pocket of oats in there somewhere. I like to do this part fast because I like to add the chips while it's still slightly warm, not too warm, but slightly warm, because then they'll get a little bit melty. I usually try and use mini chocolate chips, but I didn't have any. So yeah, here's the thing. My plan here, now that I've gotten the kids addicted to these granola bars and they like them and all, they're not exactly healthy. So what I'm going to start doing is adding like a little flaxseed or something, or maybe, you know, switching it up a little bit so that I can slide in a little bit of healthy stuff in. So I'm going to put about half of it. I just eyeball it. I'm never accurate. It's never half and half, which causes issues, as you can imagine, with my two boys, but there you have it. So I'm going to put in my, you know, whatever amount of chocolate chips. And this side I'm going to do my amount of white and butterscotch mixture. And then just kind of mix those around, get those in. They're going to start to melt a little bit. Gonna mix these in. I have way too many in this side. Jeez, always. So let me get this out of the way and put this here. So I'm gonna dump this half in here. You saw how that came out, looking all messy and crumbly. But then again, think Rice Krispie treats. You just kind of pat them in there and shove them up, get them to sort of even sized, like this. They're never even, like I said. I don't worry too much about it. You don't want to press too much. Again, Rice Krispie treats, if you've ever made that mistake, which I have, where you get them too tight, then they're like hard as a rock when you try and bite into them. Same thing here. They don't have to be too packed, too tightly packed. Gonna get the chocolate chip side in. While my mixture was melting over there, when I turned the camera off, I took the opportunity to put everything away, all the ingredients, because who wants to be in the kitchen all day? So I'm doing the same thing, obviously, on this side. It's half and half. There's a little gap in between. Oh my gosh, I pretty much did do half and half. That never happens. That never happens. And guess what? I'm done. So basically, you wait, I'd say about 20-ish minutes to just let them kind of meld together and cool down. If you tried to, I mean, you could eat it now, obviously, but if you tried to cut one, it would still be kind of crumbly while it's warm. But if you just wait a little bit, you can slice them just regular. I've never tried to freeze them. I can't think of a reason you wouldn't be able to. They're never around that long. Yeah. What else? I think that's it. I mean, I'm done. Ta-da. I hope you liked it. I won't boop this.